Hi, and welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast in association with CarWow, the online car-changing destination. Together, we share tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your department, dealership, or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bokert, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Okay, so listen, we're dealing with used cars, so it's in and out relatively quickly. No one wants to keep the car more than 60 days. Stock turns where it's all about, right? But overall, how are electric vehicle values? We know that Tesla, 3 years ago, dropped the price of 19%. We know that lots of manufacturers had this EV mandate they had to get to. I think it's 33% next year. Don't quote me on that. How much is this affecting the valuations of that used car compared to the battery health? I know I'm asking that question again in a different sort of way there, but if we've got a really good battery health, should it be devaluing as quick as it should do? I want to get your views on where used electric residual values are going. Are they going to get better?
That's a really good question. I think there's it's sort of a macroeconomic question, right? I think there's a few things at play. One is the fact that this technology is evolving quickly, right? And new makes and models are hitting the market. Then there's, all the Chinese brands. So residual values are getting hit. And obviously there's all the incentives from the government on new stock and no incentives on used, right? So there is a bit of probably a bit of a mismatch in supply and demand, right? And one of the things we're doing as a business is trying to encourage that demand for use and fill that gap with transparency and confidence, etc. So I think residuals, is no doubt about it, have taken a hit, right? But we want to do everything we can to facilitate a thriving used market for electric vehicles, right? Because the vast majority of transactions out of the 8 million car sales in the UK each year are in the used market, right? So we need a healthy used market in order for the new market for electric vehicles to function, right? Because otherwise
residuals, so PCPs, leasing, all that stuff. If there's no value at the end of it, we're knackered at the front end.
Exactly. And it's in the manufacturer's benefit as well to think about this stuff because it helps, they want to sell assets that retain their value, right?
Yeah. And going forward as well, I think there's an education piece there because if we go back to, 3-5 years ago, most people buying their first electric vehicle would probably be buying a new car, simply because there weren't that many used cars out there. I suppose now people buying their very first electric car, they're probably a used car. And I don't know if they're getting the same education, same knowledge that we in the new car world has been given people. I suppose there's a huge knowledge gap there, I suppose, for the used car salesperson to give the customer the peace of mind that this battery is safe. Okay, it is going to last a long time. We've tested it. Here's the certificate. You've got that peace of mind there. Even talk about charging up to 80%. You don't have to charge at 100%. In the new car world, I think that's second nature now. But I suppose
you're right. But also you've got to think about the fact that a lot of, a greater share of the transactions in the used market, these people are potentially going to be owning the car, right? Whereas on new, a lot of these are leased, right? So I think you were telling me before we came on air, and I was saying, if you look on a lot of the forums, right, people say, well, it's a lease car, so I drive it like I stole it because it doesn't really matter, right? Rapid charge all the time,
I drive it on the weekend and the acceleration, it's quick. Yes, she says it's heavy on tires. That's my fault because I just accelerate so fast in it all the time.
Exactly. So I think there are some new elements, I think, when you're retailing these vehicles to consider when you're selling used, and it's also around exactly the things you're saying. I think people having a fear in their mind that they're not just buying a vehicle, they're potentially buying this liability with this big expensive battery that if it goes wrong, not only going to be left with a broken vehicle, but a huge bill. So I think providing them with the confidence and the reassurance that's this vehicle is in really good condition and the it's got a good battery, really goes a long way. And also helping them, as you say, if they are going to own the vehicle, helping them look after it, right? So they get the best usage out of it and likely get the best value for it when they come to sell it in a few years' time.
It's a very good point because anyone who's leasing a car, okay, do they really care about the battery? Do they care about don't charge it 100%? Okay, what's the best? Because they're going to get rid of it in 3 years' time. And again, I'm guilty of that. Emma's car, 3 years' time, it's on a lease. Okay, it will just go back there. But is that going to affect the value of that car there? Currently, maybe not. But is that going to come in where when we hand the car back, is there going to be a
Yeah.
BVLA
So
check on the battery health now?
the short answer is not today. So I mean, we have
Mm,
several ongoing conversations with evaluation companies because
mm,
of exactly this reason, right? Like that they can see how the market may likely pan out in the future. That like the battery will be fundamental to a lot of these decisions. But you know, the terms of your lease as they are the terms of the lease, right? I think
mm,
it'll be quite some time until the condition of batteries is connected to pricing of a lease.
mhm.
It's got to be simple and actionable and understandable for
Yeah.
people, right? Because I think it's more likely that maybe there might be some parameters around factors that might cause slightly faster degradation in the battery,
Mhm,
like you know rapid charging, things like
mhm.
that, rather than the condition of the battery itself, because it's a bit more of an output, right, rather than an input. It's something that you don't control it the same way as you do the like mileage, for example. So I think we're a little way off that yet. And the valuation companies also have to, they can't dictate the market, they have to observe the market. So they
Mm,
have to gather up a lot of data on how different vehicles are selling based on
mm.
the condition of their batteries. And then they can use that to update their models and provide back to the lease codes, the retailers on how the condition of the battery will affect the pricing of the vehicle. But it's happening. It's
Okay.
happening.
Okay. This was through Business Card doing some research for this. In Europe, they're saying that customers are willing to pay 500 to 1,000 euros more for a used electric vehicle if it came with an independent battery health certificate, some sort of test
Yeah.
there. Okay. Have you seen a similar trend in the UK? Do you think is it really make a difference if, for example, you've got a battery of 95% compared to 80% or down to 75%? Are you seeing a difference in the real world, or is it just easier to sell that car that's got a better?
It's
Uh,
it's happening, but I think it's a market timing question. So right now, uh, vehicles with good batteries, I think the primary difference is they'll sell faster, right?
yeah, okay.
And also just transparency, knowing the health of the battery, like removes
Mm,
that uncertainty and helps sell. You know, so if we looked at our data, I think if you look at vehicles tested with our kit over the last 6 months in the UK. They've sold 7 days faster than every other electric vehicle
wow.
listed
Well,
in the
say that
UK.
again. So people test your kit, you got the certificate, 7 days quicker.
Yeah, so
7 days.
every electric vehicle, if you compare all the electric vehicles tested with generational kit in the
Mhm.
UK over the last 6 months, with every other electric vehicle sold in the UK, the ones tested with our kit sold 7 days faster.
Wow. The impact on stock turnover, that's huge. That's
Yeah, it's pretty
absolutely huge.
significant, right? Like it shows you how important this is in terms of
Yeah.
information that people want to know. But definitely your point around valuation is like it's still happening. It is
Mm,
happening. It's happening informally. Like we have customers who,
mm.
let's say I've got 10 Renault Zoes on my forecourt and one's got a much better battery than the other as well. I know I can get a few hundred quid more for that car. If it's retailed in the right way. You can see it in context, right? So it is happening. But it's sort of down to the individual retailer at the moment.
Well,
And then you've got the flip side, right, of vehicles that might have issues with the batteries. Clearly, that impacts the desirability and the value of that vehicle.
yeah, well, actually, it's a 7 days better stock turn. It is getting that extra profit anyway, because that's straight to the bottom line if you improve that stock turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That just tells you customers are willing to buy it quicker, pay extra money for that car if it's got that report. So, how do we adapt that into a sales conversation? How do we make sure one of your clients has used your testing equipment, they've got the certificate? When do we get that into the sales conversation without overwhelming the customer, too much jargon, customers asking for this? How do you recommend putting that
It's a
into the
good point.
process?
I think I would actually think about the whole process, the whole purchasing funnel, right?
Mm,
So the customers of ours who do best think about this not just on the forecourt or like putting the certificate in the window of the vehicle, but like they might even be doing SEO articles explaining a lot of the things that you and I are talking about today to
Mm.
help educate their potential customers. They might be we've got companies like Cambria have done really cool work like integrating battery health into the search results page. So when you're scrolling through the
Mm.
vehicles, you can see it there.
Mm.
And then most of our customers will put the certificate in the image carousel of the vehicle listings, right?
Mhm.
And the idea is you really offer that reassurance at every touch point in the funnel, right? And that transparency.
Mm.
Because then you're going to bring in more inquiries and you're going to bring in, you'll have more leads. And also it's that powerful selling point on the sales floor, right? Because you can turn that kind of uncertainty into a powerful selling point and say, well, look, you don't know what you're getting down the road, but with us, like you can see that this vehicle's battery is in great condition.
Do you still hear some dealers out there catching a cold, taking the risk? I mean, we've all had back in the days where a salesperson's not driven a car and the gearbox is knackered, okay, and they've not gone and looked at the car and all these things. And I suppose, do you still have dealers there that not testing a battery, and how painful could that be?
Um, yeah, I mean, it does happen, right? Like, and even some of our customers, right, when
Mm.
they test all their stock.
Mm.
I mean, we had one a couple of months ago. They normally test all their cars.
Mhm.
And but busy dealership, everyone's like super stretched.
Mm.
Like sometimes things just like don't happen in time or
Mm.
things happen out of order. Took on one car. I think they'd done just over 100,000 miles. It was a
Mhm.
7-year-old car. That vehicle's battery, they took it in on part exchange.
Can I ask a
Um,
thick question there? Okay, so what's more
yeah,
concerning there? Is it the 7 years old or the 100,000? What you said before, it's probably the 7 years old is more concerning. Is that right? Or should I not guess?
broadly
Just get a
speaking,
test on it.
broadly speaking, it really depends how it's been used. Right?
Yeah,
But
okay.
broadly speaking, age has a slightly higher impact than mileage. But
Okay.
like, if I was to show you our data, you'd just see like quite a lot of variation, right? You
Yeah,
wouldn't be
okay.
able to
Don't try and
use it
second
as a
guess it.
predictor.
Yeah.
It's really hard because someone might have really looked after that battery, right, and give it a
Yeah.
lovely,
Okay.
cushy life.
I've got you.
So yeah, they took this car in, and it just slipped through the net, right? It didn't get tested,
Hmm.
and it turned out that that vehicle's battery had 40% state of health, right? That
Ouch.
is quite a hard car to sell. And you
Well,
just then
I would
got
say before this conversation, that car you'd almost write it off. You can't sell that.
it did
But
about 35 miles range on a full charge.
wow.
So now, then potentially got to look at getting it repaired or like all the headache or you put it to trade.
A 7 year old car,
Uh,
you can't replace a battery in that. That's just not economically viable, is it? I
it
would
depends what's around
think.
you. Like repair is getting better in this
Mm.
in this country, but it
Okay.
depends. Like, can you get the right batteries, the right modules, right? All that sort of stuff, right? So, and it's just a question as is that something you want to take on as a business, like the headache of that when it's all about
Mm.
turning stock quickly, right?
Yeah. But listen, battery testing. And again, here's an ignorant point of view. To go and get the car's battery tested, I've got to go into the workshop. We've got to get a technician, the diagnosis system. It's too hard. It takes too long. The technicians, they're more worried about just getting this car serviced because they got red and amber work and they've got to sell more tires there. I imagine it doesn't happen because it's too hard. Talk us through how you do it. How do you make it easier?
Yeah,
Um,
sure. There's a good analogy for this. There's a gentleman from Fords of Winsford, who
mhm,
I won't name, but he talks about £100 jobs and £5 jobs, right?
mhm.
And he says that we're a £5 job basically, right? And what I mean by that is like we think it's all about making the battery is so valuable and so important, right? Like it's all about making this process fast and easy, right? So anyone can do it. So basically, you just have an app on your phone. You have a little generic OBD dongle that you plug into the diagnostic port of the car. You choose the make and model, you run the test, and we give you the results in about a minute, right? So there's no difficult, elaborate process. Anyone can do it. Like
So
you
should
might
I
not.
do that or use I'm an Audi dealer and just get my Audi diagnosis system because we can do it out the back there.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the
On your
advantage of
own
using
brand,
yours? Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of the franchise net will be able to do their own brand vehicles, but that doesn't necessarily protect them on like, if someone
Great
what are
point.
they going to do when someone brings in
Of
a
course.
Fiat, right? Like,
Of course. Yeah.
and the other point is that like a lot of our customers, want to do this check as early as possible in the process, right? You want to do a triage as early as possible, and it depends on the
Mm.
operational process of your business. But like, you might want if it's an inspection team, or it might be a salesperson, or like, if we're valeters, we have like doing it right, who
Mm.
you don't want to be spending additional time and money on that vehicle until you've made a decision on like, okay, what's the condition of the of half of the value of the vehicle.
Mm. Yeah, dead right. And like, would you buy any car without testing it first? You just wouldn't really want to do that, would you? And your way, it makes it quick and easy to test any car, I suppose. I suppose you showed me how to do it at AM Live, and my grandmother could do it. Actually, she couldn't, she's passed away, but anyone's grandma could possibly do that because it's just so quick and easy there, I suppose. That's the real selling point, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we really trying to focus on speed and ease of use, right? Like this our view is that like this information needs to be out there and accessible for people in the market so they can make decisions, right? So like it's honestly like we spend a lot of time and effort trying to make something simple, which sounds, sometimes it's harder than it might sound, right? Like making something easy. But yeah, we just try and make it super fast, super easy because we think that like everyone, like transparency is just fundamental for any market to operate efficiently, right?
Okay, listen, I know we work within the market, we don't create the market. But I'm putting myself into the sales manager or the used car buyer's shoes now. Let's say hypothetically, because you're doing this day in, day out, right? You've got a 5-year-old car, electric vehicle to trade in there, and the battery test shows that it's at, say, let's say 75% of its original capacity.
Yep.
How should a DP or the used car manager handle that? Is 75% in your gut feel? Is it a red flag? Is it going to be hard to retail there? Would you consider selling it at that level? I know you said 80% before, but I want to get your gut feel on if I'm new to this industry, what's a good benchmark for me to aim for?
Yeah, so the most common retail threshold that our customers set is at 80%. So what
80.
that
Okay.
means is they would decide not to retail a car if the health of the battery comes in below 80%, right? They would, and it's just their kind of the most common rule of thumb I see, right? Because they
Mhm.
say, look, generally speaking, like if it's above 80s, people think, yeah, okay, that's all right. I can live with that. It seems like a good battery, right? Some set it at 90 if they tend to deal in newer stock. Um, they're the most common ones I see. My gut feel is they're about right, right? Like you need to
Mm.
experiment a little bit as to what's right for your business, and also, you know, maybe this will evolve a little bit as the market develops and as the
Mm.
stock ages. But I think they're pretty good benchmarks.
And flip side, if I've got that car, 3-year-old car, and it's a 95% health check, or the battery, sorry, health, really, that's got to be on the front page of Auto Trader everywhere, hasn't it? It's got to be right front and center. This is 95%, because someone's going to want to buy that car a lot quicker than someone else's. Get it turned very quick.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Like when we first started the business, there was a sort of fundamental bit of consumer research that we did where
mm,
we looked at we gave UK car buyers different options of vehicle to choose from, right?
mhm,
And they made repeated choices and we looked at the decisions they made and
mm,
we used a sort of expensive bit of market research software. But what it told us was that the desirability of a vehicle with an unknown battery health is
mm.
similar to a vehicle with a battery health in the mid 70s of percent, right? So
Fear of
the
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 unknown.
point of that
Yeah.
is that the vast majority of results today are coming out well in the 80s and 90s, right? A percent.
Mm,
So we know that just by adding transparency, you're adding
mm.
desirability and adding value to the vehicle in the vast majority of cases.
But again, if most of them are 80, 90%, that's where some sales managers, some salespeople will skip the test because, doesn't matter. And that's when they'll catch a cold, right? Just do it
Yeah,
every
I
time.
think so. In terms of numbers, to put some numbers behind this, if you look at all the tests we've ever done in the UK, and we've got a pretty good pulse check of stock on the UK market, 0.8% of the vehicles we've ever tested have a battery health below 80%.
Wow.
So a
Okay.
little bit less than one in 100.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Well, listen, looking forward then. battery technology is evolving all the time. I hear things sorry, I'm going to be ignorant now, but LFP and NMC batteries and which ones, which I don't know, solid state batteries. Sorry, can you just run through the differences? What should I be looking at as a sales manager?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good question, right? Because like a lot of these terms get thrown about in the news. So I think I'll give you my view.
Hmm.
Solid state is probably about 10 years away from like mass market
Hmm.
kind of production hitting the roads, right?
Right.
So probably not something that I would be worrying about
Hmm.
today. Um, LFP and NMC are two different battery chemistries, right? They're chemistries
Still
that go
lithium
into,
ion. It's still lithium ion. Is that right?
yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Okay.
different cathode chemistry.
Okay.
Um, LFP is slightly newer to market. Pardon me. The
Bless you.
LFP vehicles, I think some of the newer Teslas, one of the Volvos potentially, it's a little bit less energy dense and a bit more durable. So you can have more cycle count. And so a lot of the advice from the manufacturers is you can charge those vehicles to 100% more regularly, and it's absolutely fine to do. NMC is a slightly, well, it's higher cost, higher performance, more dense, like chemistry, and gives you like more energy density in the battery.
Hmm.
So it's still the vast majority of vehicles out there on the road are NMC,
Hmm.
um, but that one will degrade slightly faster. And maybe in the fullness of time, that might be a home for your more performance vehicles, might be NMC,
Okay.
and maybe the cheaper vehicles or your runarounds might be more LFP. But we're still very much in that transition. It's worth knowing about if you're retailing a vehicle, whether it's got an LFP battery or an NMC battery.
And are consumers starting to ask the difference now?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like one of the hard things about being a retailer, right, is that you're dealing with every level of, and
Mm.
particularly when it comes to EVs, right, like every level of education coming
Mm.
into the dealership. There are people who have been on YouTube for 25 hours just on
Yep.
like this particular
Yep.
like
Early
model
adopters.
variant,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then there's people who didn't consider the an EV and thought it was gonna like set on fire before they stepped into the
Yes.
dealership, right? So you need to deal with all of those, and that's why we try and make your job as easy as possible when
So
with
again,
what we
don't
do.
worry about solid state batteries just yet. Okay. But 10 years down the track, that's coming. What's the real advantage of a solid state battery? Is it faster charging times? Is it
Yeah, so at the moment, most EVs on the roads, you're only getting like, in the bigger batteries, like a couple of 200 or 300 miles really on the
mm.
vehicle. Solid state, you'll get much more range and hopefully be able to charge much faster.
Okay. Okay. Which is everyone's looking for, aren't they? They want that all the time. Okay. So listen, wrapping this up, I just want to put yourself into the shoes of the dealer principal, the investor, the dealer group. If you're running your own dealership, how would you integrate the battery health check into your operations without turning this into an info commercial there? Okay, how would you train your sales staff, your appraisers? How would you market the used car with that certificate? What would you do? So if what I'm driving at here is if I've got a DP listen to this, give them the checklist that you would go down and put back in place without being too techy, if you can.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think first of all, I'd be testing all my stock
Hmm.
because you know that people want transparency. It's the number one thing they're asking for, and the cars will sell faster.
Hmm.
I'd be making sure then that I do the best job I can of putting that reassurance in throughout the purchase funnel, right? So
Hmm.
like people know when they're looking through the vehicle, they can see that it's had a battery health check. They know that how much warranty is left from the manufacturer on whether it's the vehicle is still in that warranty period. Make a big deal out of the health of the battery if it's really good. And also, if it's got that full service history, that's even better, right? So really build in those touch points. And then I think there's another interesting idea, right? Which is getting your salespeople in electric vehicles, like, get them to drive
So
one for
true.
a bit, like,
Oh, so
you know,
true. Yeah.
so they know the product. It's all very well, like start it, by all
I
means,
can't
start
one
an
stage further.
experiment, buy one or two.
Yeah. Again. people service the car, put them in an electric vehicle for the day. Okay, but salespeople, let them drive home in an electric vehicle. Let them charge at home. We know of one dealer group that actually putting chargers in the salespeople's homes so they can see how good it is there. And that's the advice is so good. Please allow all of your just experience how good the electric vehicle can be.
Yeah, yeah. They're quiet, they're quick, packed full of tech, and all being well, you look after it right, they'll last a really, really long time. And like if you can charge it at home, it's super cheap.
Ollie, how do people get hold of you? Do they go to Generational, your website, LinkedIn? What's the easiest way to people get hold of you?
Yeah, yeah, you can go to our website, which is www.generational.ac, or get hold of me on LinkedIn. It's Oliver Phillpott. Either of those, we get back to you straight away. We're pretty responsive.
So, Ollie, can I ask you a question? There's these other competitors coming out there. What makes yours different there? Okay, what makes yours better than the others out there?
Yeah, always a good question. So I think obviously we focus on speed and ease of use,
Mm.
but the other thing is we very much try and focus around answering the main questions that people are asking today when they're buying a used electric vehicle. So we're giving them not only the manufacturer's state of health of the battery,
Mhm.
but the remaining warranty, which is like one of the top things that people are asking about today, and then the real range that that car will do, right? Not the WLTP manufacturer range, but under different conditions, how many miles am I going to get out of this vehicle given the health of the battery?
And so I'll get all of that on a certificate that I can get on Auto Trader. Okay, I get a
Exactly.
car wow, whatever. So customers, consumers can see that. So some of the others, they won't give you the warranty or the real world range or anything like that, but yours will give you all of that.
All of that in one place, super easy, super fast.
So Ollie, how long have you guys been in business?
We started in 2023, so we're pretty young, but growing very quickly at the moment.
Okay, when you say quickly, what sort of traction are you getting in the UK motor trade?
Yeah, so we're currently working with one in three of the top 30 dealer groups in the country.
Wow.
But PLC groups like Motorpoint, all the way down to like a guy down the road from me who sells cars out of his parents' backyard.
Well, that's big. One in three already from 2023. That's definitely getting a lot of traction then, isn't it?
Yeah, at the moment, it's definitely something has changed in the market in the last few months. It's very much a question of like trying to keep up at the moment.
Sorry, without giving my well numbers, you're welcome to if you want, but how do you pay for this as a dealer? Do you buy the dongles? Is it a subscription? Am I limited to how many cars I can charge? How does that side of it work?
Yeah, sure. So you buy the kit from us. It's very cheap to get up and running. Less than the kit costs less than 100 quid. And then we charge per vehicle, and that cost comes down with scale. So if you're testing lots and lots of vehicles, then it costs less. But equally, like if you're only stocking one a month or less, then we also can kind of do it on a pay-as-you-go package. So you're only billed when you test the car.
Again, what you showed me at AM Live, it's just so quick and easy to do. The dongle, it shows you where to plug it in on the app. That's what I was worried about. Where do I do it? I'm not a technician, but again, the app just shows it quickly and easily exactly where to go. So it makes a lot of sense. Ollie, I really enjoyed that. It's interesting to see where it's going to go. I think this is going to be standard nature. It's kind of like making sure there was I don't know. Or I was going to say oil in the engine or something like that there, but it's something that we just won't be even thinking about soon. But at the moment, it's still not out there everywhere, is it? So listen,
Yeah, no, we're definitely growing quickly, but trying to make this as ubiquitous as possible is like our purpose as a business. So something's definitely changed in the last few months. Like just dealing with the inbound is a job and a half. But yeah, we just want to try and make this as accessible and easy for people as possible.
fair enough. And the last thing, I'll go leave it. Your founder was with Red Bull. Do you think Max is going to win it in 2025? Is he going to come back and get there, or do you think Lando will get there? I'm an Oscar fan, so I'm hoping he does. But when we're recording this, he's 25 points behind. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm an Oscar fan as well. He actually he won't know me, but he went to the same school that I did, so like
Wow.
I'm an Oscar fan.
Wow.
So
Listen,
got a gun for him.
yeah, listen, being an Australian, I absolutely, I want him there. But in my house, I'm surrounded by Lando fans. So I'm outnumbered there, but let's hope he gets that. Ollie, I really appreciate this conversation. It's been great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Kitty. Really appreciate it.
That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bokert through LinkedIn.